Hey, what's up, everyone? My name's Lionel. I'm your host for LG Productions. You are watching I Watch. Today we are covering Love and Marriage Huntsville. This is season 11. I believe that this is episode 10. I do appreciate everyone for coming to my channel. Please like this video. You can also subscribe and leave your comments below. All I can tell you today is that you are getting the activated LTV. I don't cuss that much, but I feel like cussing today. Because these folks are quite whack. And they need a good cussing out. Let's get into this episode. Okay, y'all. It's the continuation of Nell and Destiny. Destiny has walked off. Nell is still sitting there. And then Destiny comes back. Obviously. Production said, get back in there. So we see a narration by Nell in her confessional saying, I know that Destiny need to cool off. I need to cool off and think. What are you cooling off for? What are you cooling off for? Oh, I just think I need to let Destiny vent. Of course. It's her with the grievance towards your whack family and how they choose to show up in life. Destiny sits back down, and Nell says, if I hurt you, that was never my intentions. Bull! I can't really say nothing during the first 10 minutes of this video, but bull! The problem is that you said if, and that was never my intentions. Life coach Nell, you purposely didn't tell Destiny what this crap was all about in inviting her to her home, to your home. There was intent there because you felt like you needed some answers from your grown tail children and involved Destiny into it to try to get to the truth of what your grown tail children are doing. That's not who I am. Obviously it is. Obviously it is. Your actions speak differently than what you're trying to let come out of your mouth right now, Nell. That's not what I do, but you did it. I apologize. Nell. Well, let me move on because I really want to keep it. I felt like it was awkward in my home. And I felt awkward in my own home. Y'all, how do you become a victim in the crap that you started, that you created? You created that atmosphere in your own home. Life coach Nell. How do you become a victim? You did all this. You set up all these people to come around and you thought that you were going to get the truth somehow by putting these people together that didn't know why they was together and the truth would come out. Right then and there, if I was Destiny, I would have cussed that little woman out. What are you talking about? You felt awkward in your own house. Who do you think we are around here? That is totally gaslighting and manipulation. Destiny ends up saying, I always felt like I could come to you. We don't always talk, but when I talk to you, we always have deep, meaningful conversations. We would spend hours talking to each other. Basically, Destiny saying that you mean a lot to me. And I think she ended up, what she said next. She says, I want us to be good, but it just seems like family is just doing ish. Destiny in her confessional said, look, I'm a fighter, but I am tired of fighting. And I'm paraphrasing and just putting emphasis, like, over here, everybody always has a problem with me. Like, I'm the problem here, there, everywhere. And none of these self-righteous Huntsville, perfect human black beings got any flaws or anything wrong with them. It's not their character. I didn't mean that. That wasn't my intent. I didn't say that. Oh, let's play the semantics game. I didn't imply that. You did. It's always Destiny's fault for everything. Always Destiny apologizing for everything. Destiny, I would just have a complex of, I don't have another apology in me. You feel this way, so what? F you. I'm not explaining myself. I'm not going to change myself for you. You change. And let's see what the results are after that. How about that? All these one-sided relationships, or are you thinking that you are really having this deep bond with these folks and they do everything they can to say F you over and over and over and over and over again? I'd be tired of it. I'd be tired of it. She says, I'm tired of fighting and I just have to know where to place people. Basically that I would never go back to the Fletcher's home. Ever. Please tell me you looked at the beginning of the season where they were letting it know that you're basically a hoe. I'm probably not supposed to say that on YouTube. They were doing that to you. Earlier this season, during their first family dinner of the season. She said, how this blew up and somehow I'm being targeted for things. Twan volunteered this information. I didn't ask for it. I didn't even know that this was going on. And he said it wasn't true. And then to find out it was true, it's quite odd. It's so weird. Then they'll say, yeah, I'm pissed at, he's my son. But I'm pissed at him. But we ain't heard you say 2 words to him. Chris had his say, cool, congratulations, happy birthday. Where's this fiery nail for that man, your son? Who done got in the family and just started effing the family. That you opened, it's Lance's friend, but you opened that door and allowed this person to come in and start effing with family. Life coach. Destiny says, I don't want any awkwardness between me and Kayla, and I don't ever want her to think, no, none of that. I adore her and all of that. And Nell is very confused. She says, well, Twan saying that they're just chilling, Kayla saying that they're dating. Destiny offers up, well, maybe she's got a roster. That may not be her only dude. I will say this, Destiny, perhaps. But even if she does have a roster, guess who she wants? She wants Twan. She wants Twan to pick her. Possibly after getting some of that dingling of gold. But that's the one she wants, outside of whatever roster she could potentially have. Nell says that she cares about her relationship with Destiny. Bull. And then Destiny says, why was I at your house? Why was I there? Nell says, because you're like family. And then Destiny took that as very sentimental, and I wish she had not. Family doesn't do that to people. Family doesn't do that to family. At the end of the day, I'm not going to say this for all, but they will choose blood relatives over people that they deem as family that don't have no blood relationship with. And I think you should always know your place. Bull, Nell. I called bull. And somehow you wanted to just stand and be honorable and I'm this and I'm never that. And you showed us who the F you really are. But you have before. But you've been showing us who the F you are, despite what, that's not me. I just don't like what they're doing to Destiny. And I never thought I would be a Destiny defender. I don't like what they're doing to her. Destiny, don't ever go back to their home. I would never do it. No. I'll shoot some scenes. That's it. And it's just F you for life, because this ain't what I want as far as family. Nell, you know how messed up her family is, and you want to bring her into your jacked up, whacked up family that is just grown and just experiencing life. You want to bring her over here into y'all's toxicity. Wake up, Destiny, because this ain't it over here. I don't like what she did. Now, I could respect you a lot better if you would have just said, I effed up. I did this to you. No, it's along the lines, if I hurt you, and I'm really getting sick of that. pride, this false pride that people have. And we see it a lot on reality TV, and people are mimicking it in real life with this whole pride thing of if. No, that's arrogance and pride, knowing that you didn't do anything wrong when you really did. It's not an apology. I promise you, I would have respected you better. I messed up. I shouldn't have involved you like that. I should have told you what I had going on. I put you in an uncomfortable situation as family, with my blood family. I could have respected you a whole lot more, but you didn't want to clean up. You're just apologizing because it makes you look honorable and respectable on camera. I just spent a lot of time on this scene because I just no, I don't play about that. I don't play about genuine connections and people try to call you family. I don't play about that stuff. So F you now and your uckery. Let's see if you make it right during the reunion. Or are you just going to be the bullheaded, stubborn Scorpio that you are? Moving on to the Scotts. We got to deal with them. Tisha is in her somewhat built office that Sculpt, aka Marcel, is building for her. It's not complete, so she decides that she's filming. Look, I'm tired of asking, and what someone won't do for me, you just got to do it yourself. So she's making this video while Marcel is walking in. I guess Marcel just got back from Italy. I did not know. I wasn't for sure if they actually went to Italy, Rome, or somewhere. I just didn't know for sure, but cool. They flew all the way to Italy, Rome. He's talking about buongiorno. I used to work around some Italian, so I know a little bit of Italian language and all that. But anyway, he comes in and he sees what's going on. He's like, well, why are you doing this? Marcel is instantly annoyed because now you're sending the wrong message about we don't get projects done. We've been watching you since 2019, not complete projects, sir. So what do you mean? Maybe you don't like it from your wife, but you've shown a great example as to you're not able to complete stuff. Tisha talks about, Italy and all that. I was looking at our checklist as the things that we were going to do, and I thought that we were going to go to Italy together as far as vacation plans. He said, oh, that's going to be for our 20th anniversary. But you already went without me. That should have been something for us. That should have been something for us to discover and all that. It's nice that you took our son, but why do you think this is going to be special for me and for us now? Like, it's time to pick another place, another destination where you have not been at. Remember Marcel went to Africa by himself? Like, do they do anything together as far as vacation and staying in the U.S. while you go by yourself or do extracurricular activities without your wife? And I'm just thinking about it now. He's talking about this whole partnership thing, and you're slacking on your end too, sir. And we'll get to that a little bit later. And I'm gonna try to get off of here pretty soon. I'm just in a mode of just going off on people and just calling out the BS for what it is. They're being kind of like to each other, and Marcel is one of the first to call it out. Like, I'm picking up a slight attitude with you. Like, what's been going on since I've been gone? So, beating around the bush, Marcel just asked directly, did you and Destiny get into it? And then he asked, did you get out of character? She says she did. But later on, she's going to backpedal on Pussy Pop. Destiny, basically, Marcel don't really, as soon as he knew that they were getting into it, he was just turned off. And basically, Tisha's blaming everything on Destiny. And he says, you were planning to get into it with Destiny. And then he said, that's not what we do. That's not what we represent. Da, 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 da. And then Tisha's very annoyed and very overwhelmed because even in me trying to talk to you about what's going on, I'm in trouble. Basically, Daddy came home and just decided to regulate on his third daughter, which is the firstborn. At that. Oh, she says, I fight with the girls and then I have to come try and explain things to you. Then Marcel says, why am I building this office when you want to be a sister girl with Destiny? I said, what? And I think that was code for you just want to be ghettofied with this girl. You want to be a hood rat and go down to the gutter with her. She's the one that was saying things low. She was saying that you weren't defending me, and I was defending you. He said, you don't have to defend me. And you don't have to defend me with a woman who doesn't have a husband, and she runs through men like crazy. What is that supposed to mean? Ho! That's what you're talking about. But people can say that you run through women. Marcel Scott. Not saying you did, because we still ain't got no proof, but people say that you are that. If anybody's a hoe, it's you. Along with your friends and brothers. I'm so sick of folks. For whatever reason, this generation and past generations just act like women don't get to have options. Women can't just experience men. It don't have to be sexual. It's just, I'm experiencing men, and I'm not just attaching myself to any ish type of ninja. It's just like a woman is just supposed to stand there and say, choose me, pick me, love me. Tisha says, you don't get where I'm coming from. And then Marcel says, I know where you're going. Basically saying, don't get involved in all this stuff. Then there's no reason for y'all to be on reality TV. I'm not saying that y'all gotta be ghettofied hood rats out here on television. But don't sit up here and try to perfect yourselves on TV because you just want a specific perception of yourself. If the Married to Medicine cast can do it all that they have been doing, now going on 12 years, and still can keep their jobs and people still respect them, you as a contractor, there's nothing that's going to, at this point, destroy your credibility unless you're not actually doing the job that you're supposed to be doing. Reality TV isn't destroying relationships, business relationships that you're trying to have. And it all falls back on this respectability politics that black people live by due to Jim Crow and all of that, and trying to be subservient under white patriotism. Y'all do too much shucking and jiving for white people. And I'm talking about the black community in large. If it don't hit you, don't get in the way. If it don't hit you, don't get in the way to be it. Ooh, where are we at? You represent the both of us. She says, true, but I am my own person. And I also represent me as Tisha. Then he said, then give me my own name back. And I would have said, here. Here you go. Can I swish it in for you? Can I do a three-pointer? Here you go, MFA. Do I understand what he's talking about? Yes. But let me just say this. Who are the Scotts? I only know Coretta Scott King. Who the F are the Scotts? And second, if my identity is just in my married person or persona, then I'm nothing. I'm just lost in this. Because if you cared about perception, you cared about representation and all that, you don't ever show up in representation of your marriage. Marcel, you don't even wear a wedding ring. Not that I don't know. You don't even want to do that. I remember those non-wedding ring years. Wearing wedding ring years. So he said, give me my name back. Then he said, why did God give you a smart man and leader if you aren't going to listen to him? I get that. That's a biblical type of way of thinking. I get it. You want to be the leader within leader and just act like she's supposed to be submissive. The Bible says that you have to be submissive to one another. Is there a leader within that whole unit? Yes, there is. But we submit to one another. This ain't no do what I say type of world. And it seems like you want to always check Tisha to say that I'm leader, I'm the boss. All right. But then cry about partnership. It doesn't go that way. I don't know if he said that or she said that. Anyways, at this point, Marceau is getting very heated. And Tisha's like, why are you raising your voice at me? Really, you can see that Tisha's trying to compose herself and hold herself together. Because trust me, I don't think that Tisha is just this so when she's getting into arguments with Marceau. She's holding it together for the camera because she really wants to say, Negro, who you? That's what she really wants to do. But she can't. She says, I'm trying to get you to see the value in me, but I can't force you to see it. And Marceau says, do your dry raw. And to paraphrase, she said in her confessional, like, it just doesn't seem like Marceau is my safe place. I'm paraphrasing. So. But yeah, but that's the one you want to marry. And it's just like, as much as I'm going off right now in this segment of this, who cares? Like, because you're not going anywhere. You're not leaving. So who really cares? You're just going to take out all your frustrations on women because you can't really take your frustrations out on your daddy leader. Briefly, Ken, Trisha, Destiny, Will go out on a double date. Ken and Trisha are calling it a double date. Destiny's like, I'm good. Will is a walking red flag, but she said that she likes that he's honest. They talk about the Tisha and Destiny type of thing, and Destiny's like, well, she be poking. And it's just like, the one thing that I say is now, Ken says that she's just deflecting on her own stuff in her own home. Ken, you're just mad that she blew up your spot. And Destiny said, wait a minute, Trisha, this is all cute and all, but I see how you went directly to me. But we aren't really talking about this whole, what is it called? Circling back to some old flames and all that stuff. And then, Trisha. Destiny came to the conclusion after this whole little discussion. She believes that Trisha likes to omit things. She doesn't say the whole truth about the whole what is going on. Let's see what else. Spin the block situation. That's it. That's it. It wasn't because there wasn't really any fruit there. Destiny just wanted to point out, okay, why are we skipping over your stuff? Let's talk about y'all. We move on to the gossiping 2.0 styles. Maurice and Kimmy, they talk about Marceau versus Maurice. Maurice says, I'm over it. I don't think there's really a problem. Kimmy said, well, how Tisha was relaying information to me, it seems like there's something lingering with Marceau. And it sounds like you threatened to sue him. You tried to put papers on. She said you put papers on. And were you implying that you were going to sue him? And then Maurice, in his manipulative ways and gaslighting, doesn't want to answer the question. So then she's got to ask it again in a different way so that you can now answer, and you still didn't really want to answer. Basically, he was trying to get under Marceau's skin. He knows how to get under my skin, and that's where I went to. You did definitely imply that you were going to sue him. If you didn't even say the whole words. I can't remember right now. But we all knew that's where you were going to. Then she gossips about Ken and Trish about the whole spin the block situation. She said, I think we got to do some type of get-together type of situation. Before the summer's over, a little mini vacation. Ain't that something? So, all these 30 episodes have been filmed since before September of last year, 2025. Ain't that something? That's interesting to me. Destiny has this self-defense class. It's free to the community because it's geared towards domestic violence and women just learning some moves at how to defend themselves. Tisha in the group text already said that she wasn't coming. Thank you for the invitation. Now Tisha ends up coming. Kimmy jokes and says that you would come when it's time to fight. Basically, production said, Get your tail over here. I ain't crazy. I know y'all ain't crazy either. So just say that we see each other. Then she goes through this whole Michelle Obama speech about we still gonna come together for each other. Shut y'all lying tails up. Yeah, that is so performative. She wants to be known that I can show up for her and I need her to show up for me. Destiny tells Tisha, thank you for joining us. Yeah, we support each other. We're back to the whole I don't even want to mention her name. Trisha says, yeah, we need to support each other. Now that I see that there's 3 realtors in the group, I need some help in finding a building. And Kimmy's like, well, you kind of have done it, but you've mentioned it before, but you haven't really stepped out to do it. Well, she said, well, I just turned in my badge at my job, and I'm ready for my brick and mortar to start my entrepreneur business. And then they start talking about this double date thing. And Destiny's like, look, before we start talking about this whole teacher thing, we're going to talk about Trisha again. I remember when I was bringing up your stuff about Spin the Block, you gave me this look like, shut up. Because you blowing up my spot because I didn't tell Ken all that he needed to know. Now all of a sudden Trisha's just saying that nothing sexual happened between him and her and whomever the person that she spin the block on. Trisha, I don't believe you. Don't change your story now. Because everybody's like, oh, you was quite excited when you were sharing all this business to us. And then you got to block them over a conversation. So then, I'm going to have to just say that I don't trust that you and Martell didn't do anything. Since you want to twist things, I have no other choice but to believe that you and Martell did something. You're giving Aquarius this bad name. Stop. Anyways, Kimmy said, are y'all really together? Because the streets are saying that y'all are not together. What you done heard, Kimmy? Because I'm leaning towards you. Trisha says we weren't together, but now we're working things out. We're good. I'm going to believe Kimmy on this one. I think that's more accurate. Somehow, Ken now floats down Instagram. I don't follow him. So I was like, oh, now I'm starting to see posts of him, and these aren't bodybuilding posts that I'm seeing. I'm seeing thirst type Dwight posts. Even reenacting type of thirst type things of like, I'm available. But anyways, that's over. We're going to go on to Scott's 1.0 and 2.0. Marcel and Teacher at Black. I guess things are almost done with the office building all of a sudden. And Marcel says, can I give you some advice? All you got to do is ask me once. But it's harassment if you're asking me every 6 to 8 months. Do you know how stupid that sounds? If I'm asking you every 6 to 8 months about when this is going to get done, then you're not doing your job. Kim and Maurice, they join in. And the ladies want to create a storyline for the scene, asking Marceau and Maurice, are y'all good? Oh, yeah. Kimmy says, about the whole situation, I don't want to come to you, Marceau, and give you grief. So then I send Maurice there, even though she said, I wasn't sending him there just to give you grief. But you did. This is the stuff I don't really like about this cast, because you did do it. And then y'all want to come back and act like, that's not my character. It is. There's no room for other interpretations about what y'all do on the show sometimes. He just hears my grief, Maurice, and then he went to go handle it. But they're noticing the tension between Marceau and Tisha, and then they're both just snippy at each other about certain things, because while they're talking about certain things, they are being passive aggressive, trying to take digs at each other. Congratulations, happy birthday to 20 years. Maurice and Marceau, they go talk. It's not even about them at all, because they're over it. Because I think before they were like, well, y'all brothers, y'all been getting into it forever. Y'all created some type of storyline for a scene. That was it. But we get into more Tisha and Marceau's dysfunctional marriage. Tisha doesn't really see, she wants to include herself in certain things and projects and all that, but it's like we're not on the same partnership type of vibe. She always says, well, as far as her being individual and doing all this other stuff, she always says stuff like, well, Scout and Black, that's your thing. I mean, it is. You don't really have her do anything. And if you want her to just stay back and do the books and stuff, it is a support, but at the same point, no, she wants to be front and center. She wants to be Holt and Holt. We're going to touch on that for a second, too. Marcel tried to bring different things to Tisha before, and he said, I was thinking about this. And then she says, well, that's stupid. Now, Tisha, you shouldn't be saying something that's stupid. Now, if it's not a good idea, it's not a good idea, but there's a way that you can even come at people or respond differently. And that's for him or you in the situation. And Marcel just feels like he's doing all this stuff BMDS. By my own DAMN self. He doesn't feel like Tisha has his back. I mean, is that why you don't show up for her on screen? Tisha's talking with Kimmy. There are just times that I want to vent to Marcel and not get any lectures. Fair? Kimmy in our confessional is like, the Scott men, for whatever reason, think when we have questions about certain things, it speaks that we doubt and mistrust them. That's insecurities within them, Kimmy. And arrogance also. Because they have this God complex, like they just know everything. Since they got their effing degree, they think they know everything. Shout out to Mary from Precious. That's what they act like. But you didn't just discover that. 7 years without being married, you were with him. 7 years now being married with him. You've been there for 14 years. That's not nothing new. That's why it's hard for me to hear them still complain about these sorry men. And y'all just stick around. I know y'all want to make things work. I get it. I really do. But it's like, okay, well, it's a broken record for me. Marie says, she wants to be there. She wants inclusion in the things that you have going on. And Marie said, okay, well, the whole plan was, we had a 5-year plan and all that, and it's just totally went a totally different way. She was working, and she was crying to me that she didn't want to work no more. She wanted to be at home. He said, fine, do it. I'm working 2 to 3 jobs, trying to make everything go. And then next thing you know, we had a plan. Then she switches up and says that I'm going to go back and get some degrees. Cool, all that. But then you want to do your own thing and create your own path while we had this plan all together. Da-da-da-da-da. I honestly believe Marcel when he says that she wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. There's been this depiction of, I am man, I must provide. You woman, stay home. Take care of our children. Do all the stuff. Cook, clean, be my mattress. Or be a mattress. I do believe that part. I do think you have a God complex. I think as leader, you don't know how to lead. And you don't know how to include people. You have this one view and this one way of how to lead and whatever you think a husband is and how to treat people and all that. You're not the sole leader. To become one, okay? Because at the same time, you're hollering at her for not being one with you, but you're not one with her either. And maybe you would if she would get on your program, but that's not how things work, sir. Anyways, I've talked way too much. But this cast gets on my nerves. Since it's episode 10, we got 5 more episodes, I think, if this is episode 10. And then on to the reunion, so we're not going to be done to probably the end of June. They have just started filming. So, about 2 weeks ago, for the new season that's coming up. So if they got 30 episodes coming up for season 12 and 13, at least we got some fresh stuff, because if they were done last fall and now we are about to pick back up, there should be there's been a good time gap of them to come to us with something. Hopefully, praying, prayerfully. Anyways, I appreciate everyone for coming. Tell me your thoughts. I ended up not cussing, but I was giving you the words I wanted to say as replacement. So let me know. I appreciate everyone for coming. Like, comment, subscribe. Until the next one. Peace.